Welcome to The Creative Push. I'm Sherry O'Neill, a visual storyteller, writer, artist, educator, and your host. I started this podcast to inspire other creatives, offering artist interviews, business tips, and to share my own struggles and adventures as an artist. This episode is about my recent travel exploration of Route 66 from Arizona to Texas on a tour bus trip back home to Nashville. I will cover some of the rich history behind Route 66 while sharing the historical landmarks and interesting roadside attractions that I experienced along the way. This is part 2. From New Mexico to Texas before returning home to Nashville. In Gallup, we grabbed some dinner and I headed to the hotel room for the night. The next morning, we needed to make up for lost time due to the snow in Albuquerque. Donnie needed to get the bus back on Sunday afternoon, so we drove all day to make up for lost time before stopping in the town of Santa Rosa, New Mexico. Our first quick stop was an old rundown restaurant referred to as the Route 66 restaurant. Lettie's was run by the Valquez family from 1986 to 2019 when it closed for good. The bright yellow diamond lettered signage is a Route 66 icon. Next was the Mesa Motel. Built in 1938, in its prime, the neon sign brightly attracted tired travelers seeking a room. I learned of an interesting story in the New York Times about how a singer-songwriter who sang about UFOs vanished without a trace soon after checking into the Mesa Motel. Jim Sullivan was an LA folk singer who sang about aliens in his 1969 debut album. He was known to hang out with Hollywood actors, including his friend Dennis Hopper of the movie Easy Rider. As the story goes, on March 4th, 1975, at the age of 35, Jim left LA for Nashville in his VW Bug in hopes of escalating his songwriting career. The next day, he called his wife to check in. Acting a bit odd, Jim disappeared the next day. Jim's wife learned that he had been pulled over for allegedly driving under the influence, but passed a sobriety test. He checked into the Mesa Motel in Santa Rosa that night, but the bed was never slept in, according to the police. On March 8, Jim's car was found 24 miles south of town with his ID, some of his albums, and his 12-string guitar. His body was never found. Some believe that he may have been abducted by aliens. You gotta love these kinds of mysteries. Next to La Mesa is the rundown Esso gas station from the mid-1960s. The happy motoring signage with vintage pumps under the canopy in the foreground feels like something out of a ghost town. An old Coca-Cola machine offering drinks for 75 cents sits in front next to an ice machine. Signage showcasing maps available, Bank of America charge, and MasterCard payments accepted reveal a time when things seemed much simpler. A little less than an hour down the road, we pulled off the interstate to visit the town of Tucumcari, where the neon signs and vintage motels seemed to showcase the historical spirit of Route 66. As we walked around the streets, there were several places to photograph, all within walking distance. The Motel Safari was built and designed in 1959 by motel developer Chester Dorr, using a Google-themed architectural style. Its quirky geometric signage and dripped brick mortar make it uniquely stand out as something from the past. Not far down the street was the Blue Swallow Motel. Built by carpenter W.A. Higgins in 1939, it opened in 1940. It is one of the longest continuously operated motels along Route 66 in New Mexico. The blue swallow bird symbolizes love, comfort, loyalty, and safety. Its glowing neon sign offering 100% refrigerated air and TV is as iconic as the drive-in rooms off the back side of the main office. Its pink stucco walls and bright blue neon sign make it one of the most popular places along the strip to take photos. Across the street, the TP Curios souvenir shop has changed over several times, as have many businesses along Route 66. Built in 1944, it was originally a Gulf gas station, then Leland Haynes Grocery Meats and Curios in 1948, and in 1960, Jean's Trading Post. The gas pumps were removed and the unusual teepee door was added when the highway was widened around 1959. Today it offers all kinds of native Indian and Route 66 souvenirs. Johnny's Conoco gas station was right around the corner. These cool restored gas pumps caught my eye and I had to stop for a photo. My final stop as the sky was turning dark was the brightly lit Palomino Motel. Opened in 1953 by James and Gladys Hyde, this motel sign brightened the streets with its ever-changing green, yellow, pink, and purple neon lights against the New Mexico sky. We got back on the bus and traveled east, leaving New Mexico before stopping just west of Amarillo for the night. I was beginning to realize how much more time I wanted to explore these places and how little time I felt we had to showcase the true spirit and history of this highway. As I fell asleep, I felt a little sad that it was all coming to an end. We had hundreds of miles left to get back home and only a short time to get there. The next morning, we stopped on the west side of Amarillo to visit Cadillac Ranch. This easily accessible roadside public attraction has gained popularity over the years, making it a significant symbol of American roadside culture. It has been referenced in various music, literature, and film projects, including Pixar's Cars movie. It is an art installation that was created in 1974 by a group of artists based in San Francisco known as the Ant Farm. The idea was to create an interactive art configuration to pay homage to the American automobile culture. Incorporating the Route 66 Main Street of America symbolism of adventure and freedom, 10 Cadillac cars were half buried nose first in the ground at an angle. The idea was to correspond to the Great Pyramid of Giza. This unusual art project was founded by billionaire Stanley Marsh III, who wanted to create an unusual, thought-provoking piece of art in his hometown of Amarillo. Born in 1938, Marsh inherited wealth from his family's oil and gas fortune, allowing him to pursue his unique and often eccentric interest. Although he was a banker, his true passions were art and philanthropy. As we got off the bus and walked through the gate towards the cars, it was obvious it had rained recently. Within minutes, we all had layers of mud stuck like glue on and around the bottom of our shoes. The mud was so thick we would later have to take our shoes off before Donnie would allow us back on the bus. Visitors are encouraged to use spray paint from the on-site vendor to interact with the cars by adding graffiti. This process allows an ever-changing and evolving piece of artwork to morph over time. It's exactly what the creators had hoped would happen when they dreamed up the idea. We spent about an hour walking around the display of cars, shooting photos, videos, and drone footage. From there, we drove through Amarillo with little time to spare. As we passed by the Leaning Water Tower in Groom, Texas, I was able to capture it in the distance from the bus window. Constructed in 1983 by local Ralph Britton, the tower legs were intentionally bulldozed to tilt 10 degrees, attracting travelers to his truck stop and travel center. In 1985, the truck stop was destroyed in an electrical fire, but the memorable tilting tower still stands along Route 66 for passing motorists to see. Our last stop was the Conoco Tower Station and U-Drop-In Cafe in the town of Shamrock. Built in 1936, it served as a prominent stopping point for travelers along the famous highway. In its prime, it offered food, lodging, and a friendly atmosphere for weary travelers. The building was restored in the 21st century and now serves as a museum and visitor center. We enjoyed taking some pictures and looking around. We missed the cool nighttime lights, but I love the Art Deco architectural style building, distinctive tower, and colorful geometric decor. The rest of our travels were spent looking out the window of the bus and taking turns sitting in the front seat to talk to Donnie as we drove the remaining 845 miles back to Nashville. We passed through Oklahoma, spent the night outside of Little Rock, Arkansas, and drove through Memphis, Tennessee before making it back home in Nashville. From Arizona's picturesque Grand Canyon to the unusual art experience of Cadillac Ranch, there was no shortage of cool things to see and appreciate along the historical highway. Our trip, despite not being long enough, was something I will always cherish. From cultural significance to classic Americana, Route 66 has it all. It's a reminiscent symbol of American culture, a testament to resilience, and is considered to be one of the most famous highways in the world. Route 66 maintains its appeal through a combination of nostalgia, historical relevance, and captivating experiences. The Mother Road of America remains a symbol of the classic American road trip, with a glimpse into the nation's history. The countless classic motels, gas stations, and trading posts made this road trip unforgettable. I plan to do much more exploring on this unique highway from the past in my future. I hope that you enjoyed my journey. I would love it if you would give me a thumbs up and share with me something in the comments. Tell me about your Route 66 experience. What was your favorite part? What are your favorite places to visit?